It's fault.
That
It
is
always.
that is a bold-faced lie. That is a bold-faced.
But y'all was believing it though, wasn't it? Oh
I'ma
yeah,
say the
y'all was
same
believing
thing
it. See,
I said before.
social media is a lie. See, don't agree everything.
I'm gonna say the same thing I said before. Welcome back, y'all, to the Conscious Connection, where we keep the lines of communication open. My name is Marquise C. Copper.
I'm Javon Moore.
Let's get into it. Today's topic, I think, goes very well into some of the things we talked about previous, and that's, can a toxic relationship be fixed or salvaged? What do you think?
All right. First of all, we're gonna go with the definition of what's a toxic relationship, right?
I mean, there's different ways you can do it. One of the things I've seen recently is a toxic relationship can be defined as a pattern of behavior when a person is not being respected or supported. It can be broken down to different questions, right? Like, do they always decide what you do and where you go? Do they put you down, and are they possessive or jealous?
See, all right. If we're gonna get into the definition, in my personal opinion, I feel like a toxic relationship is kind of like a drug, right? And with drugs, you have dopamine, right? Most drugs overfeed you dopamine, and dopamine gives you those happy receptors, right? And with a toxic relationship, they feed that dopamine, they feed that those happy receptors, and they give you these highs, they give you these wonderful moments, and then they give you these terrible moments, these underground horrible moments, which is what keeps you locked in, right? Because in your mind, you're just like, all right, cool, these bad moments happen, but those good moments are gonna come eventually, right? I think there's something. What was it called? It was
Like a victim mentality?
no, not a victim mentality. It's something where you're waiting for the positive side of it through the negative, right? And my thing is that's exactly what a toxic relationship is. Is you're waiting for the positive shoe to drop. You're waiting for the love to come in through all the mess. You understand what I'm saying? Kind of like a
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome.
I mean,
Kind of like a Stockholm syndrome.
I feel like when it comes to toxicity and within a relationship, right, you can define it all day long, any kind of way you look at it. And it's not necessarily being unhappy, because really, no relationship is meant to be happy.
What do you mean by that?
It's what you make out of it that causes happiness. But it's not supposed to just immediately be happy. That means work has to be put into practice. So if something has become toxic, it's because one or both people in the relationship have either neglected the person that they're with, their duties, and or each other's feelings, space, or emotional well-being or security. So, here we go. Every time he puts his finger at me like that, I got to point it back like this. Because it's going to be some mess.
Jagger, I agree with most of what you're saying, but at the same time, someone can be given, because you're saying that toxic relationship happens when someone is when one partner or both partners are feeling or being treated neglected, right?
When they feel like they're being neglected.
When they feel like being neglected, right? But even if one partner is given that type of attention to that person without neglecting them, they still can be toxic.
Yeah, they
How can
can.
it be toxic? Gaslighting, you can still give attention to somebody while gaslighting somebody. They can receive all the attention in the world and still be felt like they're being crazy, right? Because I've definitely seen examples of a person being the most wonderful boyfriend or girlfriend, and all of a sudden, they're liking pictures on Instagram of the other gender, and then that person comes, hey, oh baby, I love you. What are you looking at? That's nothing. You didn't even see nothing. Gaslighting and attention.
That's, it's funny. I'm looking at this page here, and it says, do they say I love you too soon? And that's like, if you go to the opening pieces of a relationship, there are people, like you say, will gaslight and say I love you to try and get an emotional response, even if they don't mean it. All right, this is going to be a cut into another thought. It's going to go a little off topic. Do you feel that it's okay for someone to say I love you back if they do not feel it?
Ooh.
So if someone came to you and they this person you've already been seeing, you've been dealing with them already, and you have not felt it in your spot, in your spirit, in your heart, that you love them yet. It's still in the butterfly phase. It's still in the infatuation phase, maybe. Is it okay for you to then go and tell them, I love you too, even when you don't mean it, just to give a response.
I I can give you an experience where that did not pan out well for me,
You
and
said, oh my goodness.
and this
So the
experience,
answer to that question is it is not okay.
I listen. Look, all right, it was kindergarten.
That's different, man. When you're in kindergarten, and you gotta say kindergarten, you can't say
It
kindergarten. It's
was, it was, it
kindergarten.
was kindergarten. It was kindergarten, right? And there was this girl I had a crush on, and of course, she over there playing. And at the time, I'm a little kindergarten. I don't
You're
understand
five
love.
years old.
Yeah, literally. And I've just been stalking her, looking at her, watching her.
He a 5-year-old
Yeah,
stalking another
I was a
5-year-old.
5 year stalker, and literally, I just went over to her and I was just like, "Listen, I think you're really cute. And I think you're really pretty," and she immediately got attached. Immediately, just clung on to me and would not let go. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, what have I done?" And she was just like, "I love you," and I was just so afraid. I just said, "I love you too," and immediately she asked to get married.
You got a girlfriend, Nesbit? Norbit. No. Well, you do now.
How did you say that though? Did she say, "Oh, I love you"? Is like, "I love you too." Sure.
No, it was
Like,
just she was just like, "I love you," and I was just like, "I love you too," and then she was just like, "We're married," and I was just like,
oh,
"What?"
I love you too. I love your mama, your daddy, your what?
Listen, it's fine. I cried and I got my way out of it.
It's like
Right?
that scene in Norbit where they propose each other with ring pops.
I cried my way into an annulment. That's it. I cried my way into the annulment. That's it.
Oh my!
I'm
At
sorry. I
5
didn't
years
mean to
old.
get this off topic. It was just something that was
But
just stupidly in my head.
I asked that question for a reason because it goes back into that because people will use that as a way of gaslighting. They'll say "I love you" in the means of causing emotional response. Fellas, unfortunately, a lot of us have done that, and women have fallen, head over heels. And
You have
yes,
done that, sir?
that is toxic. I have not done that.
Okay.
I say
Okay.
I say we fellas because I generalize. So I don't like to say, "Oh, you fellas," because that just looks like you're pointing the blame at somebody. But by including everybody, you get a general sense of this is something that a lot of men tend to do, which really that's not really a men trait. That's a little boy trait. And those little boy traits that we got to talk about later, little boy traits that guys need to get rid of and develop into mature men. That's the difference between that toxicity that you are used to versus the healing effect of becoming a real man about your stuff, That's the whole purpose of it, and that's why I asked that question. Because when I was 5 years old, I had a little girlfriend too. I did in kindergarten. I did, and it was kind of
But
similar.
she didn't trap you in marriage though.
No, she didn't trap me in marriage. She just trapped me with her big brother. Her big brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
He's like, "Oh, you like my sister, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah. Okay, you gonna treat her nice?" Yeah. I was 5 years old.
That's when you just got to start
He
running.
said, "You know
That's
what's
when
gonna
you start
happen if you don't treat her right,
You ain't going nowhere till after that wedding's done.
right?" I said, "Yeah." All right. Well, go ahead. Go play.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. But either way, my thing is, when it comes to toxic relationships, honestly, when going back to the topic where it's talking about can a toxic relationship be fixed, I think it's one of those things where if you're willing to put the work in, because I feel like with a toxic relationship, a lot of damage is done, and certain damage can't be undone easily. And my thing is, when I say easily, I'm talking about like years of work. And a lot of people, especially this generation, don't have the patience or the attention span to deal with that type of damage, right? Because that type of damage is something where you have to swallow your ego for. You have to bite your teeth and be like, this is what I signed up for. This is what I'm going to work through. The good thing is, after overcoming that type of damage, the relationship is something that you can't even mess with. But it doesn't work for everybody. It's kind of like a lottery pick, right? Because you can take that gamble, and if it don't work out, you're gonna be broken way past the point where if you was to just let it go when you were supposed to let it go. So it's a huge gamble, and the payout is not worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So what I will say about that's an interesting point. Interesting take on that. What I will say is that when it comes to the mental health aspect of it, and I'm going to always go mental health, number one focus, right? If you're someone who's suffering from depression, right? And that person that you're in a relationship with is neglecting you mentally and emotionally, which is the two facets that make up your makeup when it comes to who you are as a person, your personality, two things that really, really hardly, when I mean hardly, I don't mean like hardly as in not much. I mean like it hits you kind of hard whenever you're trying to relate to, a social setting such as being in a relationship, Someone neglects you like that, right? And they constantly talk bad about your past, right? They constantly go at your triggers, even though they know your triggers. They throw things in your face. There comes a point where you have to choose yourself. There comes a point where it's not necessarily fixing the relationship. It's realizing this person's never going to change. If you have growth and that other person sees your growth and they choose not to change, it is not your responsibility to stick it out. Now, mind you, I'm talking about if you just date and something like that. If you married, it's a little different. But it is not your responsibility to then stick it out and let this person continue to hurt you because you feel like you have this emotional attachment. Emotional attachments are natural. We're going to have emotional attachments. But this is where you have to understand something. Your emotions, let that guide you on different things. But let your intelligence keep that in check. Because if you don't do that, then you put yourself in positions where you're stuck in this relationship that's very toxic. You could have been out of it, but you choose to stay because you let your emotions guide you.
So here's the question I have right now, right?
Uh-oh, he scooted up.
Because now this conversation is going to go deep, right? What exactly causes a toxic relationship? Because my thing is, we're talking about, can a toxic relationship be fixed after it has been toxic? But in order to be able to fix a toxic relationship, you have to know exactly how it was caused. And me personally, I know exactly what causes toxic relationships. But I'm gonna let you say your point first.
Nah.
Oh, you want me to go first? I'll go first.
You cannot, man. There is no taxation without representation. You better go ahead and talk.
Check it out. I'm about to go first, right?
Yeah, go first.
Right. So
here it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Immediately, I'll tell you exactly what causes toxic relationship. Right?
Okay, shoot.
You're on it right now. Social media. Social media is the number one.
Every time. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's go to the timeout.
I'm sorry. Social media is the number one cause of toxic relationships, and I can explain it wholeheartedly, right? For number one, all of social media manipulates both genders.
Are you in charge here?
Yes, I am.
Nope.
I'm
wrong. I'm in charge.
But regardless of how it is, but all social media manipulates both gender for profit, right? We're not little kids. We all know that these are companies. Companies care about money. They don't care about your entertainment. Entertainment is only there so they can make money off of you. And exactly what's the best thing to make money off of? Confrontation. Now, you can't have confrontation if everybody's on the same point. If men and women agree, you can't have confrontation. And my thing is, that's their whole goal. Their whole goal is to make sure that this is interesting to watch. I want to keep coming back. But then you know what happens? You know what's the side effect of confrontation? Fights. People who relate to certain things, but not the whole thing, think that, oh yeah, this is how I feel. This is what I should do. And then when they bring that into relationships, and the men are bringing everything in relationships, now all you're doing is confrontation all the time, button heads all the time, and now you're creating a toxic relationship. Have you ever seen a couple who cancels out all social media?
Oh yeah, they're great.
You know what they're called? Grandma and grandpa. That's what they're called. They're called grandma and grandpa.
My parents don't have no. Well, actually, my mom is on Facebook, and I be telling her to get off because she be on it, like in my comments.
I'd unfriend you. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Lasting relationships before all the social media. Now I said my point. I want to hear what this is. Go ahead.
So I got a caveat, right? Or rebuttal. I'll say it like that. Because I think there have been toxic people for a long time. All right. There have been people who have been toxic before social media,
but not to
the extent that it is now. These days, people are so quick to argue instead of actually People are looking for reasons to leave instead of looking for reasons to stay. And I was hoping he was gonna be like bars.
Bars.
No,
But people are looking for reasons to leave instead of looking for reasons to stay. Excuse me, they're looking for excuses to leave instead of looking for reasons to stay. Why not stay? And going back to the whole grandma and grandpa, that mentality was, oh, we ride together, we die together. Bad marriage for life, if that's the case.
You know who the last person that said that?
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
You know the last person to say that? Jada Smith. Now, I want y'all to think about that.
Okay, bad example, but that was the point. A lot of the older men back in the day was like, oh, it's cheaper to keep her, right? A lot of women back in the day is like, well, I'm not trying to go meet a whole nother person, make all this extra arrangements, and still have to find someone who's responsible. So even if the marriage wasn't exactly the greatest, they stuck it out and they made it work. And you noticed the whole benefit. The family benefited more. The grandkids had more of a thorough relationship. Like my grandparents would have been arguing or whatever, and I would have never known because of how they kept it. They protected it. Cut to today's world, and this is why I agree with you. Everything is a debate. Everything is a problem. No one wants to work anything out, and it trickles down to the children completely. It trickles down to the children. This is my take on what causes some toxicity, because I'm glad you brought out the social media part of it. And let's be honest, a lot of influencers make all this little content, like some people who tell kids not to listen to their parents, but I'm not going to get into that. That actually got on my nerves this week. Because I don't think nobody should tell anyone else's kids not to listen to their own parents. But going into...
That's a fact. Unless their parents is completely idiots.
The thing about it is, even then, it is not your responsibility to tell some kid to not listen to their own parents. It is not your responsibility. Unless your name is Dyfus. And Dyfus, you listen to this. Yeah, I'm talking to you. It is, unless your name is Dyfus, there is no reason.
Hold on. We might have to discuss that.
That's gonna be offline mode. But
no, because all right, I'm gonna let you finish your point. I'm about to put Kanye right quick.
No, let's not do that.
I'm gonna let you finish your point, right? But
oh Lord,
you have to think about it like this, right? Our generation of parents grew up with trauma, right? So they raised us with that trauma that they have, right?
Like kids raising kids.
Kids raising kids, right? And my thing is, with kids raising kids, some of the stuff that they're teaching isn't really right or on par.
That's
and
true.
some of it is going to lead the next generation down the same path they're in. So when somebody sees this pattern and they go to the kids and just like, hey, listen, maybe you shouldn't do this. I know your mother and father said you should probably do this, but they're saying that because they have dealt with, like, they was raised with this type of trauma. Let it stop with you. You should probably not do this.
Yeah, but it's a measure of responsibility, respect, and minding your own business.
Mind your business, that's all. Mind your business.
Sometimes, if it's a detriment to the child, that's one thing. But that's not something you have a direct conversation with a young person about.
Give me an example. Because I'll give you an example.
I have plenty of examples, but that's going straight off the top.
We're
going to go back to that
in
sometime later. But again, there are things that just do not belong to you. It's a sense of responsibility. But when it goes into toxic relationships, this is a point that I really, really find interesting, is that majority of people, when they're in happy relationships until they have children, and people don't understand why they are in such a toxic relationship once the children came. And this is the biggest issue. You guys are happy. You had that first baby. And you know what? Little by little, you guys started drifting away. That second baby came and it was like, man, what happened to us? Right? Well, this is the biggest issue. Why'd you put the kids first? And everyone thinks you put the children first.
Forget them kids for right now, all right? Take that ball to the sideline.
Everyone thinks so.
Agreed.
The thing about it is, what came first? The parents or the child?
I don't think it's that simple.
Time out. No. I'm going to show you how it's not. It's actually very simple, but people complicate it. What came before that child?
Huh?
What came before that child?
The love of the parents.
Let me make it easy. What came before the house?
The apartment.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
He said the apartment.
Like the struggles.
No, before the house came the foundation.
Okay.
Before the house is put up, before the walls are placed up, there's a foundation, a solid foundation on bedrock, not on sand, right? On bedrock. That's scripture. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to start quoting scripture, but a solid foundation, right, creates a stabilization for walls to be fashioned and placed up and a roof to go on top to fully furnish it in a way that it protects from the elements, protects from earthquakes, protects from even just man-made things that may possibly damage or ruin the home, right? Okay. Your relationship is that foundation. You build on that foundation. You create a family. Mm-hmm. You create your children. You create the environment for your children to have a calm, safe space in a way that they can express themselves and feel like a kid and not have to grow up too fast. You create all these things from that foundation. You are the foundation. What happens on the foundation on a house when it cracks?
You get sinkholes inside the house.
Sinkholes. You get the house can collapse.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think happens to a relationship when you allow the foundation, you neglect each other and focus strictly on the kids? What happens? Well, that relationship starts to get toxic. And what happens after it starts toxic? It starts to get cracked. And after it cracks, it gets sinkholes and then falls apart. AKA, that's why divorce rates are so high. That's one of the reasons why. Most of the reasons why, to be honest. Right? It cracks. Your children are not the controlling stake in the relationship. They are beneficiaries. They benefit from whatever you do. If you two decide you're going to go to work and you're going to make your money, right? Mm-hmm. You go make your money. You come home. You bring it together. You now go buy groceries. You may buy toys for the kids every so often. You buy clothes. Mm-hmm. There's a roof over their head. Those kids now benefited from you going doing what you're doing. By you two coming together and having conversations, talking about how your day went, talking about what way can we better benefit the family. Coming together and having those conversations is what those kids now benefit from. By you having a stable relationship with each other and keeping it strong, guess what? Those children now have a stable relationship in the home and with you as parents. Those are things you create from your foundation. The biggest ways that you mess up your relationship is when you put your kids first. Because what happens when the kids are grown and they're out of the house? A lot of these older couples, you know what they're doing? They're divorcing. Because they don't know how to be a couple anymore because they let the foundation crack, sink, and go into complete turmoil.
Message.
Okay,
anybody who wants to rebuttal that, I'm gonna be honest and frank. Go back to all those couples that you talked about. Go look at those statistics online. Majority of it is because they didn't know how to be couple after that. I got another one for you after that though.
Because I won't lie. I understand where you're coming from in that sense, but at the same time, it's just like you do know that the children will feel that. The children will feel that they're not number one priority. And see, because right? There's a difference between like, coming from a man point, right? Your wife understands that children come first, right? Children are children. They're not understanding, the hierarchy or mom's here and I'm here. What they understand is that you don't value their opinion. That you're gonna put their mother ahead of everything they're said. So if the mother starts to go villain mode and she's now abusive, and now your relationship with her, he come home, listen, Dad, my mom is X-Y, listen, keep me out of it, your mother's right. Now he's understanding, oh snap, so like it's y'all two against me right now. That's crazy. Like you have to understand, when you tell that child and be like, listen, you're my number one priority, right? Everything but at the same time, I understand when you talk about that foundation of a relationship, cool, but the children still come first. I feel like I do. I feel like the children have to come first.
What did I say came out of that foundation?
Huh?
What did I say came out of that foundation? What did you create?
You create the structure.
You created a family. Mm-hmm. Those children are part of that family.
Yeah, but and I think they go that family.
The foundation that the family is built on is you two. So when I mean putting you guys first instead of the children, I'm not talking about taking the food out the stomach and just ignoring the children. I'm talking about you creating this space where you two are working together to help each other take care of those kids. That's the point. That's the family you create. Everything that you bring together now benefits those children.
But you're taking away from those children.
You're not taking anything away from the children. What happens when the father goes into the house? He goes and plays with the kid, but he doesn't show his wife any affection. Instead of coming and kissing his wife on the cheek or kissing her on the lips and giving her a nice hug, he goes and sits on the couch and plays with the kids instead.
Okay, so I feel like that's two extremes.
But that's an example of how she started, because over time, you keep doing that. Guess what Guess what happens? That turns into a neglection, which turns later into a toxicity. And what she starts doing, starts talking to her mama, her sisters, her best friends, same vice versa. A woman who decides, okay, I started out this relationship giving him this kind of affection, and I stopped giving that to him. What do you think that does? That first causes
resentment.
Not just resentment, that's caused from the neglection.
Okay.
Neglection then turns into toxicity. Toxicity turns into cracks, and cracks turns into a broken foundation. And by the way, that's the basic steps of how someone emotionally checks out of a relationship. They check out usually because when someone usually steps out of a relationship, it's because they're emotionally checked out. It doesn't just happen out of the blue. It is something that has led
gradual.
up to this. So when your kids are affected by things, oh, mommy, daddy is arguing at home. Guess what? You know why that kid is telling the teacher at the school that mommy, daddy is arguing? Because their foundation at home is already jacked up. And that child is now being affected. The foundation cracking affects the family. The family directly affects the children. So if you really look at it from that's why I use the perspective of the house. If you maintain a house can last a very long time.
So basically, in short, it's the government fault. 9/11 was an inside job.
He says the government's fault. Well, you know what? You're not wrong in saying it's the government's fault, because taking the father out of the household and telling the mom that she can get more money from the government if she does that is messed up. But unfortunately, there's quite a few toxic relationships that have resulted because of that. So there is a point to him saying the government, but he's always going to say the government, man.
My thing, best believe, listen, what y'all don't understand is every single episode I have been saying it's the government's fault. Our editor edits out every single time. I promise you.
Stop the cap.
Literally, everything's the government's fault.
That is a bold-faced lie. That is a bold-faced.
But y'all was believing it though, wasn't it? Oh yeah, y'all was believing it. See,
I said before,
social media is a lie. See, don't agree everything.
I'm gonna say the same thing I said before. If you're listening, I cannot confirm nor deny the allegations set forth before us by Mr. Moore over here. I'm not a troublemaker. I don't like to start any kind of trouble. But if I want somebody to snitch, I'll snitch real quick. 1-800 snitch. I'll get it.
I want all the smoke. Absolutely.
He want all the smoke. Yeah, come after him, not me. I'm good.
Listen, my thing is, I will never agree with the government, because the government is literally the reason why social media is so powerful. Oh my goodness. Social media is so powerful because the government saw the type of influence it could have during MySpace. During MySpace and Facebook, that's when the government was just like, oh my goodness, this is a crazy way to literally lean them. Remember, before social media, what did the government have to rely on? Propaganda, right? Captain America. Matter of fact, that's how anime got started. Propaganda.
He just gave away his age by bringing in MySpace, by the way.
Oh, no. I read about it on Reddit.
Himself. Hey, Tom from MySpace.
No, but seriously, right? The government saw social media and was just like, oh, say less. This is how we're going to control the mass. And what did they do with it? Caught division. They caused division. Sorry. Not sorry.
I mean, yeah, you can kind of agree with. Yeah, I do. I got to kind of agree with that.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
That you do have division, which causes the toxicity in different ways. But I say at the end of the day, we are all grown adults. We are all grown people. So, well, mentally, some of us ain't grown adults, but physically, we are grown. Handle your responsibilities, and just be. I wouldn't say be a good person. Just be grown about your business. Be grown about your business, and if you know better, you do better.
Listen, at the end of the day, if you're in a toxic relationship or you're the toxic person in the relationship, get therapy. Leave that person alone. You don't need to be in a relationship. Get out of a relationship. Tell her you're sorry, or tell him you're sorry. Seek a therapist. Work it out, and then come back maybe later on in your life. That's just one man's opinion.
My guy over here just laid it out as if it's that easy. But those are some decent steps to take. I'll just say, if you can't trust that person, you shouldn't be with them. If you can't love that person, if in a specific predicament where you are, you know, you have to be grown. I'm tired of saying that. You really got to be grown about your stuff. A toxic relationship be fixed. Don't sugarcoat it. Just be grown. Communicate as much as you can, and I think it can be fixed, but it takes growth on both persons' part. The part of the person being toxic and the person who's receiving toxicity that has to understand there's times when you stay and there's times when you have to take care of yourself. And you have to examine that based off of what kind of relationship this is. Is this something I can walk away from, or is this something I should walk away from?
Well, let's just be clear on this, right? Can toxic relationships be fixed? It can, but just because it can doesn't mean it should. That's the biggest thing. Just because it can doesn't mean it should. It just can be fixed.
True.
It's not worth the outcome, worth the breaking of you. You'll be not the same person at the end of it. That's just at the end of the day.
And take care of your mentality, take care of your emotions, and like we always say, tell us how you feel.
Not me. I don't care.
He say he don't care. I care, but tell us how you feel. Peace out.
Peace.